Okay, is that better? Can you hear me now? All right. Thank you everybody for waiting patiently. Sorry it took me a few minutes to get going. I had forgotten that I'd set up my computer in the basement so we could play Jackbox over Christmas with my family. So I had to get it back up here and all hooked up, and so everything was disconnected, which is why my audio wasn't working. Yeah, I've been drinking water all day, hot tea. So yeah, I mean, I figure we'll plan to do just sort of go over the Secret Santa stuff. I'm feeling mostly okay at this point in the day, but just my voice is definitely deeper than normal. Yeah, my whole family was here, which is a lot of people. Most notably, 6 children. So my brother, the father of 4 of them, uh, was feeling sick all weekend. So I think either through him or one of his kids is how I got sick. But it's just how it is. Newton says, "I don't think there's a universe where this doesn't take the entire stream." That's true. I mean, we can talk all day. Um, we can turn a single magic card into an hour-long discussion. So I guess we should get to it. Thank you to Sorcerers and Zid for running the Secret Santa, doing all the legwork to get it compiled, and getting it sent to me, and to everybody else after the stream. I did not participate this year. Um, I was just busy working on other things. So none of this is for me or from me, but I look forward to seeing what you all got for each other, or what you all made for each other. Um, Najugo wants to make sure the VOD gets saved. Okay, I will make a note to do that. Hello, Drake Gladys. Ah, Wolf from the Discord. Got it. Well, welcome to the stream. Yeah, today we're going over the Secret Santa. So, we got cards from everybody who entered. So everybody will be getting cards. Although I'm sure that even if somebody had failed to submit, Sorcerers and Zid would have covered the amount we were lacking. But we had we had 16 entrants this year. So let's get into it. I'm gonna just pop a cough drop now. I do use presentation mode. Ah, sure, let's do that. Is that better? I guess we'll just have to make it bigger, and I'll have to zoom about, move it about so we can see it better. So make it big. All right. So, first up, we have a gift to Smelly from Pixel Ace. Thank you, Valkyrie. All right. We have Aurora Skimmer. It's a Windrake, 2/2 flyer for 3. You can pay blue and sacrifice it to look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Yes, the cat is always giving me wonderful presents. Mostly just cuddles, but that's also her favorite present to receive, so it works out well. Okay, cool common. Definitely not too pushed at all. It's either a Windrake or like a card filtering spell, kind of cantrip. So obviously it's not good if you're just spending 4 mana to get 1 card. But, you could use it as a flyer, and then once it gets, your opponent has a blocker for it, or they try to use removal on it, you're like, okay, I'm going to turn this into a card. So not bad. Yep, anticipate. All right, we got Grave Whispers, 2 and a black, instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 target creatures. And then 2 and a black, exile it from your graveyard to proliferate. Oh, that's pretty cool. Thank you, Mirrodin. I will definitely check that out. I assume it's pretty much full of the stuff that we'll be going over in stream, on stream. And yes, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope that your 2024 is, looking bright. Hey, Zid, how's it going? Strata holiday cards is a different thing. Got it. All right, well. Let's see. We got a lot of cards to get through. So, 2 and a black, instant. Sacrifice a creature. Mill cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then create your choice of a clue, food, or treasure for each creature card in your graveyard. Huh. So you at least get 1 because you sacked a creature. And then if it has more power, you mill more cards, and then you make more clues, treasures, or foods. And it's instant, so you can just use this on something big of yours that's about to be killed. So this seems like it could be a pretty powerful spell. Whoops. We got Wrath of the Swarm. 1 and a green, sorcery, any number of target insects you control, and up to 1 other target creature. Each deal damage equal to their power to target creature you don't control. Interesting. So all your insects and 1 non-insect get to punch a thing. Well, it goes pretty well with some of the insect stuff we have going on in our format. I think we had an insect jump strat pack. All right. Woof, you have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. Also, Grist. First of the Swarm. Yeah, it's a pretty cool design. It's just a punch spell, which is decent, but it's upgraded if you're playing a particular tribe. Yeah, I could not stop thinking of banding. Yeah, it's the wording is kind of similar. So this Grist is 2 black green. Wow, this is tiny text. It's not very clear for me either. When it deals damage to a player, create that many 1/1 insects. +1. Until end of turn, it becomes a 1/1 insect with indestructible, flying, and death touch. Prevent all damage dealt to it this turn. Okay. And -2, Grist deals 2 damage to target player and you gain 2 life. Right, and of course, when it hits a player with its plus or with its minus, it's going to be making 1/1 insects. And then -7 creatures you control get +X and gain trample until end of turn, where X is the number of insects you control. So, I'm guessing it's possible that Smelly mentioned that they like insects. It's a pretty cool grist. I like that. And then we have Mystical Gift Giver. 2/3 for 2 blue red. Can't be blocked. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each create a treasure. And whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, scry 1. So it's a gift you're giving to yourself as well as your opponent, because when they sack that treasure, you get to scry 1. But yeah, it seems like a pretty cool design. 2 power unblockable creature for 4 mana that also ramps you. Does not seem bad at all. Okay, let me just look at something here. Huh. Okay, so most of these have a lot of cards on them. There's only a few that have the minimum 4 cards. So it might might take us a while to get through. Yeah. You get to flash by a few cards real quick. I just wanted to see like how much talking I'm gonna have to do. We got this Beetle Witch. It's a 1/1 for 5. When it enters, make a 4/4. Pay a black, sack a creature, put a 1/1 counter on target insect you control. So you got a bunch of insect cards here. Yeah, you know what? If that's a good idea, why don't I jump into voice 1? And if some people want to jump in there with me, they can talk through the cards as well. That'll help save my voice a bit. So I don't know if sorcerers or maybe some of the people who designed the cards, whatever. Let me just make sure that it'll come through my audio.
Hola.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm gonna wait a minute to make sure, see who else wants to get in. We got Ether Shade.
Ether Shade.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you don't have the A. I guess it would be Ether.
That's just how I pronounce it. I'm pretty sure it's the wrong pronunciation, but
Well, I think there are 3 pronunciations, which are Aether, Ether, and Ether.
yeah.
3 are technically valid depending on spelling. Nijugo, you seem like the person who would know this. How do you pronounce?
I was just going to jump in and say all pronunciations are made up. It's pronounced how you decide it's pronounced.
Well, this one's a bit different because they said ether, like tether without the T. So it's not a hard TH sound.
Guys, I think that we should just make up a pronunciation. From now on, their name is Dingo Shade.
I don't.
That's dingo like the animal.
As opposed to dingo, like the human subspecies. I don't know. I couldn't think of it.
Smelly is off to work. Tuxel said they might be in voice chat later. Can everyone on stream hear us? Okay, cool. We got confirmation from Panfex, and that's all we need.
And Jacqueline. And Tuxel.
We're filling up. Beautiful. Alrighty. Let me drop the presentation for everybody in the voice text chat since we're going to save Andrew's life here with the. I think when I counted it up, there are like 120 cards in this presentation. If we go through all of them,
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean,
and that's not
that's
including
really
the fact
cool,
that
though.
2 different people made commander decks this time.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Is it Panfex and Newtone again for each other?
No, Panfex
No.
got one and I got one. The 2 people who made them were Zid and Tuxel.
Wow.
nice.
Tuxel's deck is sweet, like frickin'.
Axel's deck is really cool.
I'm excited to check it
that's
out.
very impressive.
I
Alrighty,
went a
well-
little overboard this year, I will admit.
I appreciate it. I think that this year is even better than last year, like definitively.
All right, well,
Let's get back to it.
that's a lot of cards. So I guess we should get to it. So currently still on Smellhole's cards. Who wants to take it away with March of the Royal?
Pixel is not here, so who wants to do it?
What do we have left? We've got the Beetle Witch, March, Striker.
I think
That's-
Beetle Witch was already done.
Okay.
Yeah, I vaguely. I mean, I said what it did,
I think
and then
we have what the Strider, Nasef, Ozlif, and Den of Thieves.
yeah. So all the right side, the right 6,
Okay.
except for the Beetle Witch.
So, March of the Royal gives your lands indestructible. It's an enchantment for 3 and a green. You can suspend it for 3 and a green, and it has a sort of awaken suspend effect. While it's in exile with time counters, when one is removed, you can pay 2 generic. If you do, awaken a land with 3+1/+1 counters.
Which
So-
is sick as all get out.
It's
It looks
Very awesome land value card.
That's a really cool use of suspend tech. I like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have a deck idea called Lands Got Hands, where it's just all like the lands that turn into creatures, and that would go amazing in it. That would be
And it provides
insanely
an
good.
interesting decision point between putting it in suspend so you can animate some lands and casting it immediately. So if you already have land creatures, now they're indestructible.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like Terra Eternal with upside, which I'm down for because Terra Eternal is a sick card.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a while back. Matthew, Jason, and I each made custom commanders and then built a deck around
You
them
did.
using real
the-
cards.
Yeah. I helped you go over that deck, so I remember that.
Yeah, so my commander just made it so that all of your lands entered with 3/1/1 counters on them. It did not turn them into creatures. You had to find a way to do that yourself.
I remember that.
Yeah,
That's
the
neat.
card's sweet. There's some legitimately sweet cards in this entire thing. Like, oh my god, people here are so talented.
I'm excited to see the rest of it.
All right, next up we got
Next-
Philaday
next up we have-
Striker.
Wow.
So,
Go ahead.
Sorcerers, why don't you take this one?
It is a 2-mana 1/1. It is an insect rogue, and it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So Slith with upside.
Lith with Dawn.
Yeah, I'd play it. Seems like a sick 2-drop. It can get under a lot of the more aggressive decks. Like, this seems like a great little early limited aggro piece. I want to see the world, the insect world that's in here. I know Smelly is working on sets like this because I think like an insect-based plane would be really cool. I've got a little bit of art for a sort of variation on that, but I don't know if I'm ever actually gonna go through with it.
Next up, we have Naseth, the Apex of Spirits, who is a 5/5 cat beast spirit for 2 black, red, green. I think it's referencing an Ikoria Apex in that way. It's the Apex of Jund.
Art
And
looks like that too.
When Naseth, Apex of Spirit, enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, return target non-creature human creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield under Naseth, then mutate them together.
That seems sick.
So it's sort of a reverse Brokos, where he mutates out from your graveyard, Naseth gets other things stuck under him.
Yep.
Fun.
That's sick.
Fun mutate tech.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'll
and
take
also,
the next one, I guess.
yep.
Or go ahead.
I was just gonna say, also caring about non-humans is a mechanic for Ikoria. I guess that's just how mutate works, but
Yeah.
just feels very Ikoria.
Yep.
All right, so yeah,
Alright.
you can do Ozolith.
Limb of the Ozolith, three mana artifact, enters the battlefield with a trample and a vigilance counter on it, and then you can tap it to choose one, move a counter from target creature you control to Limb of the Ozolith, and the other option is to move a counter from Limb of the Ozolith to a creature you control.
Sort of a less swingy but more utility-focused version of the Ozolith.
Reminds me
Yeah.
of that briefcase from the green, white, blue New Capenna Commander deck that I can't remember the name
Yeah.
of.
Comes in
I think it's
with-
like Agent's Kit or something like that. Either Agent or...
I'll look it up one sec.
I want to say it's like something... Agent's
Agent's
something.
Toolkit.
I knew I was close.
The name that came to mind for me was Tools of the Trade, which is the red Garf card in Mistvale, so I knew that wasn't right.
No, that's not right.
And last up, we have a land, Den of Thieves. It's a blue-black land. When it enters the battlefield, tapped, and you can pay 1 when it does, and you make a 1/1 blue and black rogue with Skulk.
Oh, that's
Technically,
cool.
it only taps for a colorless mana, but you can tap it and tap an untapped creature you control to add blue or black.
Cool idea for a land cycle.
Yeah.
Lands that come with a friend.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that.
Those are Pixels cards to smell it.
Alrighty, I see no reason not to just keep on moving on. Thank you, Pixel, who is not here right now, but great contributions. I think we were all really excited by the cards. Alrighty, who do we got next?
Oh yeah,
we
these
got...
are From Smellhole to Feral.
Oh my gosh.
We all see it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention, but yeah, now I see it.
It's there. It's great.
So, you want to start going over those cards then?
Sure. Do we want to get the alligator out of the room first, or do we want to go from top?
We gotta
to
go in
bottom?
order. It builds suspense.
All right. Bullet time. 2 blue for an instant with split second until end of turn, as long as an activated or triggered ability is on the stack. Players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities.
It
That's really
gives
cool.
all other spells and activated abilities split second until end of turn.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah, that is really good.
One at a time.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, let's move on to Rattlebones Captain. Who wants to do that one?
Rattle
I'll
'em,
take this.
boys.
So Rattlebones
Yeah.
Captain, he's a 3/3 for 4 skeleton pirate. At the beginning of your end step, if there are 3 or more creature cards in your yard, you haul 2, which puts the top 2 cards of your library on the bottom of your harbor, which is a face-up library that sits next to your regular library. And whenever you draw 1 or more cards from your harbor, you put a +1/+1 counter on him, and then skeletons and zombies you control gain menace until end of turn.
Oh, that's sick.
That is very cool.
Importantly, when hauling, I either put the cards on the bottom of your harbor or on
The top of your harbor.
Yeah, when you haul, you scry into the harbor, basically.
Yeah.
And I believe you get to choose during any draw effect whether you draw from your harbor or your library.
Yes. Basically, anytime you interact with your library, you can choose to interact with your harbor instead.
Sick. Narrow to me is sick. Rad
I
cards.
love it.
We got Hidden Technique up next. 1 and a red for a sorcery. It's got combo. It's a modal spell. Choose one if you've cast another spell this turn, which is combo. Choose both, and you may choose both instead. Exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play that card. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control that attack this turn, and it has Cipher. So you can exile it and code it onto a creature, and then whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, you get to cast a copy of that spell without paying its mana cost. So it might be harder to enable combo right away, and it's also harder to use that second mode because you're probably going to want to do it before you attack, but it replaces itself with a new card, and then if you get through with that creature, you'll immediately get combo, get your counter and a second card, and then you've just got card value and counters.
Cypher's pretty cool. I always like more Cypher.
Yeah. Is Cipher in the arcade set?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I thought so.
And it's in all colors, but it's mostly in blue, red, and green.
The part of the problem here with how many cards we have is not just my voice, it's also timing. So I think maybe if we just pick 4 cards from each slide, maybe that would go better. And of course, everybody can look at the rest of the cards themselves.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, seems like a good idea.
Okay.
So I can guess which card we want to do next, probably.
Yeah. All right, I'll do it. For Allitator, 3 green blue for an artifact, a 3/4 artifact creature food crocodile with evolve. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on for Allitator, untap it. It can't be blocked this turn. And then 2 tap sacrifice for Allitator. You gain life equal to its power.
Eat the Feralitator.
Yeah. This is funny. My fun fact, my username came to be like when I was in 7th grade, I want to say, and it was literally just, what do I like? All right, I like Pokemon. I like tater tots. Why not?
Is that actually it? Oh my gosh.
I am not lying. That is literally the origin of my username.
Why not indeed?
What?
I said, why not indeed?
Yeah.
It's also a Pokemon.
Indeed is the site where you can go to get professionally hired by a reputable company.
Yeah.
I also like how its untap ability doesn't really synergize with its tap ability because you'd have to sacrifice it.
Yes. Well, what you do is you swing, and then you, on attack triggers, flash in, put the counter on it, untap it, give it both vigilance and unblockable.
Yeah, that's not bad, for sure.
I've broken the meta, guys.
And then you sacrifice it to gain 3 life. Or, I guess, 4 life.
All right. That's 4 from Feral.
All right, so thank you, Smelly. I suggest everybody
Thank you, Smelly.
take a look at the documents, see the other 6 cards we didn't get to.
Sick.
Next up, we are looking at... From Feral to Zid.
I haven't seen these yet. This is going to be fun.
Well, that's exciting. We will all find out together. So, I guess, Pharaoh, why don't you pick out which ones you think you want to show Zid the most?
Okay. So the one I was happy with the most is the 5-color one, Skeletons in the Closet. Obviously, Zid hosts the Skeletons in my closet thing on the server. It's a 1 white-blue hybrid, black, red-green hybrid for an instant. Create a 1/1 black skeleton creature token for each creature that died this turn, and it has spell morph with a cost of white-blue hybrid, black, red-green hybrid. And yeah, I just figured it would absolutely make most sense to have a skeletons in the closet card.
Mm-hmm.
And the second skeletons in my closet had like very wacky set skeleton with like insane like color cost requirements. And so I think I remember one of them was something like this, like a common with a cost like that. So I just decided, why not?
Yeah, there's some really wacky costs in that skeleton, which someone said go nuts. They didn't know what they were in for.
Yeah.
I will not be
You
apologizing.
sure went nuts.
I believe that skeleton was riffing off the multicolored skeleton I proposed for the Eldivar, which had a lot of cloths like that.
It was a little bit of that, and then there was another set that I found somebody else had done where there wasn't a single card anywhere in it that had just a non-hybrid symbol anywhere on the card. So every single card in the set was either all like combinations of either generics or hybrids and tribrids. It was awful. Development for that must have been hell. It was so cool to draft though, because everyone's basically forced to play 5-color good stuff in the draft. So that was really cool.
See, I tried something like that with Vivid Spectrums to varying results if we consider the 15 plant boards. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
That probably goes down in history as one of my biggest card oversights in recent memory. Prior to that, it was the 2-mana card that lets you exile all lands from your library.
Oh, that's really good. That's a design I've made before, but I did not put it at 2 mana.
Got any other good hits here, Farrell?
I guess. I mean, the green gift unwrapper is a 3-mana or 4-mana 3/3 elf. And whenever an effect you control would cause an opponent to create a token, you and that player each create a token instead. And then whenever you donate a permanent to an opponent, which means you give control of the permanent to an opponent, you create a token that's a copy of that permanent as well. And donate, I believe, is used on one of the Heroes of the Realm cards for 2023.
2022, but yes.
Was it 2022? I thought it was this past year.
Heroes 2022, Ellison the Giving.
That's 2020. Why is that 2022? I thought that was just recently revealed.
Well, you see, it's Heroes 2022, but the copyright's for 2023, which is where it gets really funny.
Huh.
COVID, man.
That is weird. Either way, it was really revealed this.
Hey, folks, what if
past
Atraxa, but not black?
year. Yeah.
I mean, I think Gift Unwrapper is pretty neat. It would be really fun to play it with something like John Arenkis, but that guy is Demir, so you can't. But still cool.
Yeah. And then automatic gift wrapper, 2-mana 1/3 artifact creature construct. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, each player creates a tapped present token. I'm sure someone else has also used present tokens in one of their Secret Santas, but my iteration is an artifact with 1 tap. Oh, I realized I forgot to add the sacrifice part to that.
I thought it was intentional to differentiate it from junk.
That was not intentional. That feels a bit too strong if it's only 1 mana. It was supposed to be sacrificed to exile the top card of your library, and until end of turn you can play it.
Well, you see,
Um,
everyone's getting them, therefore it's balanced. Because if it's symmetrical, it's got to be fine.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why there are no
Um,
stack stacks.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
rafts are literally unplayable.
Um, and the other three, I believe, were riffs on cards. I remember the black one, Dark Gifter, was a riff on one rare from Brothers War. I think it's. I
Oh,
know
I
it's
know
like
the
a
card you're
four
talking about.
mana,
Oh
four
yeah.
That card
mana.
was bad too.
But yeah, it's basically that effect stapled onto a creature with one less mana.
Yeah, so it's actually playable because that's what
Yeah,
it takes to make that effect playable.
yeah,
And you see, because you're
but
giving your opponent a permanent, it's symmetrical, therefore it's balanced.
yeah.
Until you
Um,
play 3 gift unwrappers and you end up getting just a ton of token copies of whatever you just gave them.
I mean, Dark Gifter and Automatic Gift Wrap is kind of like a build your own Oko if you squint.
Dark
You
Gifter and
squint
Gift
really
Unwrapper.
hard.
Wait,
You draw
Dark
0 cards and then give them another present. If they have enough presents, then you can like Vandal Blast them or something.
Dark Gifter and Gift Unwrapper is actually an infinite combo in a way. You can just draw your whole deck because you donate the permanent, draw cards, and when you donate it again, you donate it, you get another token that's a copy of it, and then that triggers over and over again. uh,
Everything's
That's
fine.
Yeah.
terrible. I love that.
I totally thought of every combo when making these.
It was intentional.
Yeah, everything's intentional, totally.
Holy crap, Andrew's showing a glimpse of Nieldevar.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to do a sneak peek.
Do we want to go through the last two, or do we want to?
Let us move on. Thank you for your
Really neat,
gift
dude.
to
Thanks.
Zid, Firl.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Next up, we have
Who do we have next?
from Zid
I believe
to
it's Zed.
Panfex.
All right, so I made a whole commander deck for you.
Yeah, Zed, you want to explain your crimes to humanity?
Yes.
What
Okay,
in the hell is going on here?
So what ended up happening was I didn't just
not
make
fantasy.
a commander deck. I made a commander deck that came with a scheme deck and a contraption deck and a planar deck.
Link to the download is at the top of the slide.
Yeah, there's a lot that went into this, and it's very funny. I put together an entire legal scheme deck out of a few custom schemes and a bunch of ones that WotC made. And then I made just the one contraption, but it's meant to go into like a contraption deck to kind of go with this whole thing. This whole deck is really a crime against humanity, but it was so much fun.
Zed,
Zed
Panfex says they love you. Do you
embracing
accept
the
their
move.
advances?
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I did is I looked at a lot of the like mechanics that I really liked but weren't done well in my opinion, and I tried to smash them all into a commander deck to bring as much chaos as possible. In the spirit of, skeletons in my closet, I was like, why don't I just put every bad idea I've ever had into a commander deck because it's Secret Santa and I can be funny. So let's start with the dungeon. This is Krampus's musty basement. You start at the secret entrance, and when you enter this room, you tutor for a basic land, put it in your hand, and shuffle. I have keyworded a couple of actions that take place a lot because otherwise you would run out of space on some of these cards. So
This was done on MSE, by the way. You can
yes.
find this exact dungeon in the file.
Yep, this was done in MSC. The dungeon template that Cajun made is really, really cool and very, very powerful if you take a little bit of time to learn how to use it. So that's very neat. From the secret entrance, you go into a trap room where each player loses a life. From there, you go to a goat pen, and you make a 0/1 white goat. And then a pit trap, and you sacrifice a creature. It's probably going to be that goat, but you never know. Then you find the Unknowable Horror Storage Unit, where chaos ensues thrice. Then you find the Workshop, and you assemble a contraption and grab the key. In the storeroom, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and then you go to the arena, where you go to target creature. And from there, you were supposed to be able to go to
The arrow from arena to puzzle room is facing the wrong way, right?
Right, you're supposed to be able to go from arena into the puzzle room, where you could
think
assemble a contraption, and then you could either use the key to do the loop again, or actually, I think the trap room was supposed to be a double-way arrow. But either way, from there you take a long tunnel to make a Power Stone token. You draw a card, you create a food token, and then you get to the Room of Dastardly Plans and Pilfered Presents, where if you are the arch enemy, you set your next scheme in motion, and otherwise, the arch enemy abandons the scheme of your choice. So it's a way for you to force them to cancel an ongoing scheme if they have
That's
any.
kind of
which
cool. That's really cool, actually.
in an arch enemy game, an ongoing scheme can be very oppressive. So I think that's a nice payoff for having gone through the entire dungeon to get there. I think it's worth it.
They can have things like people can only cast one spell each turn.
So with Zintelix, do you get both a partner and a background, or do you choose one to have?
No, you do get both.
My word.
Triple command.
Yes. But the idea was that you would use self-made as the background
And friends
for your character, which it has a Q ability because I love those. I think they're some of the jankest designs in all of Magic, and because this is an enchantment artifact, good luck tapping this. But if you do somehow manage to tap it,
put counters on your creature.
yeah, exactly. So that was a fun one.
I self-made might be worded wrong.
Oh,
It looks like it untaps the creature, not the self-made.
Oh yeah, it
Yes.
does say enchanted creature.
yeah. The enchanted creature would be able to untap itself.
Yeah.
That was the intent.
Oh,
That
I
doesn't
thought
go into
it sounded
install.
like you said self-made needed. to
Oh
be
no,
tapped.
like good luck tapping your commander outside of combat is what I meant, because he doesn't have a tap ability himself.
Oh.
Yeah, but here's the thing. As soon as we go to the actual background commanders,
Right.
you just go infinite with Ellen, and it's great.
Yeah, that was unintentional but very funny. Yeah. Technically, the rules don't let you have both a partner and a background, but that's only because there are no cards that have both partner and choose a background yet. So,
I made one with like every single partner variant ability once.
like partner, friends forever.
Doctor's Companion, all of it.
That's fantastic. I hate it.
A whole spot of extra friends.
Yep.
Anifex would like to know why Chris's Miracle doesn't have a creature type.
So, yeah.
Why
I
not?
forgot to add one. It's supposed to be Kindred Instant Elf.
Of course it is.
Because Santa's elves. So up to date there's a couple of really excellent puns.
Yes. That was my favorite.
One of the cards in this deck is Head to Head, where it's a spell that aftermaths itself.
Oh, I didn't see that one. That's
Yeah,
actually
because
really cool.
it doesn't use the aftermath frame. It's just one card that says while it's in your graveyard it has aftermath, so it goes head
Oh,
to
that's
head, which
cute.
that was really good. I reprinted a card from the set that I'm still working on, which we covered here a long while ago, but now it has art. I think the card that I'm the most proud of, though, is Pandora's Pinata, which is a record, which was something that I thought was very interesting and cool when you did it, and I thought this was the perfect time to show you something ridiculous. So I chose the album Pandora's Pinata by Diablo Swing Orchestra. And so every single song on the album has a mode that you can use. And the spell itself, it's synthetic is a minor theme in the deck also, because
What is synthetic?
really
mean?
liked-
Just an artifact in addition to its other types.
a synthetic means it is an artifact in addition to its other types in every zone except the stack.
Okay.
Actually,
So
no.
you-
No, I think it's everywhere except while it's resolving. I think is
Okay.
the actual rules text.
So you
It's
play it as a
fantastic.
sorcery, but you can interact with it as an artifact.
Right. And it counts as an artifact spell when you cast it.
Yeah.
Which means it gets all of the artifact spell buffs and triggers all the artifact spell things. Voodoo
And it has
Monomore
ward
is
on
probably
stage.
one of the best songs I think that's ever been written. It's a great album opener, and you should definitely check this album out. It's nuts.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Alrighty, I think we should probably move forward just for the sake of keeping even pacing, since we're less than halfway through.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
In
thank
fact,
you.
I think we're literally a quarter of the way through.
Thank you for that insanity, Zid. I will be sure to check
I had a
out the
good
whole
time
deck.
making that.
Sorry, multiple decks.
Thank you, Zid. Never do that again.
All right. Next,
Don't challenge me. I might do it.
next we have from Panfex to the Cat Taco. All right. This one I need to resize.
Look at that taco cat. Just a friend. A gremlin, if you will.
So beautiful. All right. So who would like to take this one away?
Okay, so we got the taco cat here. It is a 1-mana 1/1 with flying. It's legendary because why wouldn't it be? And you can pay 2 and sacrifice it to gain 3 life because it is a food cat after all. But if you eat this, you committed a war crime. And you can cast it from your graveyard if you created a food token this turn, which probably means that it should show up in Kuldona. And Andrew, we're gonna have to find space for this card. It's a taco cat.
I'm
Put
good,
in
thanks.
the bonus sheet.
Yeah, we can find space in the bonus sheet. We can cut Water Elephant. That card's probably overpowered anyways. And the funniest part is Andrew doesn't know what we're talking about.
You sent me the file, but I have not looked at it yet. So.
You need to
I know.
download the frame for it.
Oh, okay.
Water
well,
Elephant, I think people saw. It's a 6-mana 4/6 food creature. When it enters or leaves the battlefield, you can reanimate a non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less, and can pay 2 to sack it and gain 3 life.
Didn't you nerf it to 4/4 a 3/3? I distinctly recall you
I
saying.
think I mentioned doing that and then forgot to, so fuck it, we'll test it at 4/6. This card is fine, guys.
We've also got this angel, Gareza Life Force for All. She's a 3/4 angel for green white. If she is your commander, you can choose a creature type before the game begins, and you can include cards of that type in your deck as though they had Gareza's color identity. She taps to have target creature gain or lose the chosen type. Other creatures of the chosen type tap to add 1 mana of any color, and they also get +1/+1. Or creatures without the chosen type get +1/+1. And that's for all players. So
Okay, that makes sense because she was a lot of upside.
yeah, especially on the 3/4 for 2.
I guess she's not a flyer despite her wings.
Yeah, she doesn't have flying.
Nope.
But that's pretty cool. You just get to pick a tribe and she's their commander.
And there's also this my favorite things, which is a snow sorcery for a single snowman. And I assume this is either Cat or Panfex's favorite cards because it lets you conjure a selection of cards into your hand. And there's
Were these chosen to like align with the song lyrics in any way? I'm genuinely curious.
I don't think so.
They don't sound like they will.
I will admit it's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
Oh,
Janklet Desert, blazing glory, Dryad Arbor. I can't quite get it.
Not
It's so
really.
close. Like the fact that buried glory and frantic inventory rhyme.
Yeah, it doesn't quite fit the rhythm, unfortunately.
It's close.
It's
Yandex
close.
has confirmed their lyrics. I'm curious to see how they say it lines up, but for the meantime, we should probably read the others. I will post a performance of this if I must. Please do, Panfex. We want to hear
That'd
you
be
say
great.
it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to that.
This is chaos. Anyways, we got Broken Spirits. It's 1 green mana to destroy target artifact or enchantment with flying.
Interesting.
That's my kind of cursed. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm
this
not
is
sure
really
how many
interesting.
channels flying there
It's
are, but
really funny how how the removal of the commas, or I think it would technically be one word, destroy, because what this is riffing on is Broken Wings. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying, which is a card that's been reprinted in Coldona, so I know it off the top of my head.
I mean, it also doesn't have the commas. And then lastly, there's Angelic Benevolence. 1 white for an instant, prevent all combat damage target creature would deal with this turn. If target creature you control is an angel, draw a card, and then it overloads for 1 and a green. So if
Oh,
you cast-
interesting.
That's really interesting. I like that because it stops all combat damage, but also makes it harder to cantrip itself.
To be fair, though, oh wait, oh wow, that's really cool.
That's
Yeah,
really,
the way-
really cool use
way
of
Are we
this
sure this
overload.
card is
I
free
love
angel,
that.
though?
The way this is worded, you pick 2 targets, which I assume is not the intent. I assume the intent is if the creature you control is an angel, draw a card.
Well,
Or
no,
if
because you would be preventing the combat damage an opponent is doing to you, so you don't have to block it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the pick 2
and-
targets thing is a little bit clunky, but the idea is that the targets change to each on the overload.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you control only angels, you draw a card and fog. Interesting. All right,
Alrighty, what do we got next?
we got to Ivy from Cat.
Yes. All right.
Insect.
There's a lot of dogs here for it being from the cat.
Alrighty. So first off, we have Everyone Gets a Puppy, which is the best card in Magic because everybody gets a puppy. 2 and a white
No,
for an
dogs
instant
are
free.
evil.
What are you saying, you monster? Dogs are the best gremlins, except for maybe foxes, but regardless, they are our friends and we rely on them for our livelihoods. Anyways, for each player, create a tap 1/1 white dog creature token with loyal and lifelink. Target player gains control of it. The owner of target permanent with loyal and all permanents they control have protection from them. So basically,
that player
you
gains
make the dogs, give them to players, and the dogs can't really interact with you.
So you make 4 dogs, you give 1 to each of your opponents, and you have protection from them.
You don't have to give them all to one opponent each, though, which is really
it says,
interesting.
it says that player gains control of it, so it's 4.
Oh, is it that? I read it as target. My mistake.
That player gains control.
Yeah.
Neat. You guys all have puppies. They can't touch me.
Who's going next?
Next up, we got Thieving Ants. It's a creature, insect, because it's multiple ants.
And it's a
4/2
line
for
of them.
4. And it has Shroud and Theft. At end of combat, if this creature is blocked by or blocking another creature and has at least 1 toughness, you gain control of that creature. So that requires it to be blocking or blocked by another creature, survive that combat, and have at least 1 toughness. And whenever you gain control of a creature because you stole it from them, you put a -1/-1 counter on the ends.
Interesting.
So it's like a really hard to fire off control magic, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah. You need to find a creature that has less power than he has toughness, and you can do it once, unless you find a way to put some counters on him.
Yeah, through the shroud. Next up, I'm going to jump down. We got Vanera the Friend Finder. 3 white-green for a 3/3 legendary elf druid. Double druids. And when she enters the battlefield, target opponent chooses 1. either return a creature card with at most 29 letters in its type line from your graveyard to the battlefield,
I mean, why
Or-
it has the extra druid type.
or return a creature card with more than 29 letters in its type line from your graveyard to the battlefield.
I wonder why 29 was chosen.
I don't know. Is that how many Vanilla has in her type line?
Endary.
Because she has 30 letters in her type line.
Ah,
There you go.
cool idea for an uncard. I actually really like that. Next up, we've got Imperfect Duplication. It's 3 in a blue for an instant. You roll a 6-sided die and create a copy of target creature you control, except as the indicated modification. So if you roll a 1, it's a vanilla. If you roll a 2, it gets -1/-1. If you roll a 3, it gets -1/+1. If you roll a 4, it gets +1/+1. And if you roll a 5, it gets +2/+3. And if you roll a 6, it gets Flying and Vigilance, which this is a really cool design.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I really like this one, actually. This is
I
probably my
like
favorite
it flavor
match.
wise.
Yeah, and generally it's still going to be a pretty good instant speed clone to copy abilities. I guess there's a 1 in 6 chance you don't get the abilities, but still.
We have Floor Eater. Who wants to cover the Floor Eater? I mean, the floor on this one is a 3-mana 2/2, so I would be glad for that to be eaten and placed with something better, but...
I'll gladly cover the floor.
Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a stun counter on it. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Floor Eater. Interesting.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
I think the card itself is a little weak, but the concept is really cool. Like, I think that would be a sick card, to, like, variation on landfall to mess around with. Really cool idea.
Stunning.
I could see that being a 2-mana card, probably.
I could see it giving, like, 2 counters instead of giving 1, so you really have to think about whether or not you want to freeze your lands for a turn. This is especially true when you have lands that are coming in tapped anyways.
Mm.
Megmoose points out it doesn't actually have the word may in it at the moment. You put a stun counter on it.
You stun your lands.
Oh, I was assuming it's a may. I'm not sure if that's a typo or intentional or not.
Are there any lands with untap abilities?
There's going to be a small handful by now.
Because stun
I don't
counters and
really-
untap abilities interact very oddly. You pay the cost to untap it, but that untap is replaced by removing a stun counter. So you
That
can
is
use
correct.
the ability twice.
I'm fairly certain there's no canon lands with untap abilities because Watson knew that would be busted.
Well, let's look for every card with an untap ability that is type land on Scryfall. There is indeed nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing.
There's only 18 cards with Q abilities anyway.
Makes
I'm
sense.
looking for stuff that can untap itself externally, which also does not exist, so...
Yeah, they are all creatures except for one equipment.
Oh, Deserted Temple can technically do it, but you have to tap it to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay. Next
Alrighty,
up,
well, moving forward,
Ivy's cards for Jack.
we have 2 Jackal from Ivy. And we've got some cards with text on them. Really pretty artwork. Who's covering first?
All right.
do the-
Well, first up, we have Ethel, the Breath of Courage. You get a 2/2 Jackal Druid for red and a green. They've got First Strike and Menace, and they partner with Teller. And whenever one or more non-land permanents you control are put into graveyards from the battlefield, for each of those permanents, you may search for a non-land permanent with lesser mana value, which also shares a non-land permanent type with it. Put that onto the battlefield tapped with a stun counter, and shuffle. Alright.
And you get to You get to replace all of your stuff with stun stuff from your library when it dies. That seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, Scrap Trawler on steroids? Question mark. I mean, this is obviously better than
Yeah.
Scrap Trawler.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on steroids though. It's certainly better, but I think it's
It's really interesting.
yeah. That's really cool.
And next up is its partner, Teller the Ethereal Touch, for 2 green and blue, Flying Menace, and it partners with Ethel. It can block an additional creature each combat. You may have it deal damage to each creature blocking it or blocked by it separately instead of normally, ignoring any instances of trample I am assuming that those creatures have. Not quite sure how that works, but all right. For each land that entered the battlefield under your control since the beginning of your latest turn, you may cast a copy of up to 1 non-land card you've cast since the beginning of your latest turn, as though it had flash.
That's actually cool because the way that's worded right now, I don't think you get the copies for free, so you still have to pay for them.
You do have to pay for them. But for each land you play on a turn, you can extra spell a spell you've already played.
Yeah, this seems like a way for a ramp deck to get really out of control. Find a bunch of lands, use those lands to pay for the ramp spell again.
Yep.
Yeah, it's also a fun, interesting take on like a Snapcaster.
Yeah. Next up, we got Commune Within. 1 and a green for sorcery. As you cast the spell, if it isn't a copy, you may sacrifice a land. If you do, copy it, and it's a rampant growth. That's pretty cool. I think this could stand to go up a mana since, rampant growth is like the upper end of land ramp spells for the most part. But it's a rampant growth that can become a harrow, and that's really interesting.
It's a rampant growth that can become a harrow for 1 less mana. Because harrow is 3 mana, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Although it is, I believe. And lastly, we've got the Charismatic Musician, who is 1 and red green for a 3/2 Jackal Bard, because this is for Jackal. And it's got Provoke, so when it attacks, you can force a creature to block it. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value greater than the Musician's power, it explores twice, and you can pay red and discard a land card, which will draw off those explorers, to have the Jackal deal 1 damage to each other creature. All right, then.
That's pretty cool.
All right, Ivy, thank you for those cards for Jackal, who is in chat now.
I love it. I love more Enrage tech.
Enrage is such a cool mechanic. I honestly would like to see Enrage and like come back and get more prevalence as like the dinosaur thing, because like it kind of was for basic Salon, and then New Ixalan just said it's just Stompy and Ramp and like blah.
I want to see Enrage on things that aren't dinosaurs. I think it's one of the coolest mechanics we've had in the last 3 years.
I remember a while back I saw a concept for a set that used Enrage on crabs, and it was like Bant, so you could like force them to block and prevent damage and stuff.
That's really cool.
Crab Rage.
Crab Rage. Bum 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum.
All right, that's the next Sinzer design.
Alrighty, so next up, we've got
Shards for Pixel.
2 pixel from Jackal, completing the first loop.
All right, well, first off, we have Pixel, the Ace of the 15th Legion, who is a 1 and a Naya red-green-white for a 2/2 legendary Turtle Warrior. It has landfall whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. If you control a creature with power 6 or greater, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Then, if you control a creature with power 8 or greater, Pixel deals damage to any target equal to the greatest power among creatures you control.
So it's Miles Aria, but smaller, which
Yeah,
is nifty.
You can save almost a whole line of text by using legend name there. Which
I believe you can only use legend name after the first instance of
No, you
using
don't have to.
name.
Yeah.
That used to be the case, but they changed it because they overtaxed it a bunch.
Well, so
fair enough.
they've started ignoring that rule when the card gets wordy enough because they need to save space.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, the first time I noticed that they had changed it was on Uro.
Was it Earl?
Yeah, well,
Interesting.
it could have been earlier than that, but that's the first time I noticed it.
I'm now curious. I'm gonna do a little look.
I've got it pulled up on stream here.
Uro Titan. Yeah, I guess so. Interesting. I never noticed that. Huh.
I think Croxa has it too, but
The first time I remember noticing them doing that was on a Universes Beyond card, so I thought it was a rule that they only used for Universes Beyond stuff. It was like the black-green equipment commander from the very first secret lair that everyone hated.
The one that makes Walker tokens.
Yes.
Yep.
there's a very specific reason people hated that one.
Alrighty. Next up, we have Quest for the Island Mother. It is a 2-mana legendary enchantment, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, you put a quest counter on it, and remove 3 quest counters on it to transform it, which that's a really cool template for, like, a new, what's the words I'm looking for? A new generation of Zendikar quests. I would love to see them implement that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 get a
nice
quest
tech.
counter, remove enough quest counters, and you flip it into the reward, kind of like Ixalan style.
Mm-hmm.
And the backside-
a new generation of battles.
Is an 8/8 with Vigilance and Trample. It's a land creature. Will be affected by... No, it won't, because you transform it, so never mind. You can tap it for green-blue, and you can pay X green-blue and have target land you control become an XX elemental creature with haste and unblockable that is still a land until end of turn.
And that doesn't cause it to tap.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you have to sink mana into it, but it seems very good. Like, oh, I see. You can sink its own mana into it to use the ability, which is neat.
Mm-hmm. Now, notably,
That's
it
really
could
cool.
be affected by Summoning Sickness if you manage to transform it the turn you cast it.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
highly
if
doubt
you
people are going to be
17
casting
mana
17
like
mana
that?
of spells all that often.
You don't need 17 mana, you just need 5 and 2 proliferates.
That's
I mean,
fair. I didn't think about that. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
Sib Sigma Draggers indeed.
I love the art and
Anyways.
symmetricality as well.
Is that even
Yeah,
real?
that art's really cool. That reminds me of one of the there's an early access Steam game that's kind of looks like that. It's pretty neat.
Settlers of Catan.
No,
I
it's
want-
called The
I wanna
Wandering
read-
Village.
Alrighty.
I want to read about this Garuk's new pet, who is 2 green and a black for a 2/2 plant beast. It has reach and death touch, and for 2 black and a green and tap, it fights another target creature. And apparently, Garuk's been training Pokemon because that's an Ivysaur.
It's where he's been this whole time.
That is so cute.
While
Oh my
having a
God.
Pokemon adventure.
I need more Pokemon Planeswalker things. That's just too cute.
I feel
Love
this
it.
has to be like an art series. There has to be more than just Garrick.
I hope so.
Well, you could look up that artist and try and find out.
Cool, let's interrupt the entire stream to go do that because it's cute.
Seems worthwhile.
Alrighty. We've got Dreams of Mana and Metal. 2 mana for a sorcery. Choose one, create a treasure token, or impulse draw. Choose one, target creature you control fights another creature, or target creature gets +3/-1 until end of turn.
Strong.
Seems cool.
Dreams of Mana and Metal.
That's 2 instances of making a choice for that one set Pixel has that I can't remember the name of.
Oh, what's it called?
The Jumpstrap pack?
No, Pixel
set
has
that
a
was
set.
basically conceptually the exact same as Athoria because 3 different people have come up with the idea for a dream world all individually.
I'm sure it's more than 3.
I'm blanking on the
Was
name.
it just called Dream? No, there was like Aenir, Dreamscape, Athoria, and then the one that Pixel has that I'm blanking on the name of. But the set's sweet. Like, it was a really cool take. It was like a modal matter set, which was a really cool concept. I've played around with that as an archetype, but never like a full-on thing.
I'm,
Let me see if I
I
can
have to look it up on Plane Sculptors.
remember it. I'm gonna kick
Alright.
myself when I hear the name.
I
Yeah,
really
we
like
all are.
Perfect Swarm's use of potential. That's
Lucia,
really...
says Jackal.
Yeah, Lucia. That's right.
That's it.
It is a very cool set.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Alright, well,
we
next up, we've got Perfect Swarm. It's a 1/1 insect for 3 with potential, which always cool to see more cleave tech being used transformatively. The brackets are a really neat thing that we can use now. So at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 green insect creature token, or if you've unlocked its potential, you can copy itself. And for 5 mana, you can unlock its potential. That's pretty cool.
It's another Scoot Swarm type thing
Yeah.
where you get big enough and you start doubling it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting that the copied token
Will not have its
would
potential.
right. You'd have to unlock the
Yeah.
potential of that.
Which is great. This
Sequentially
is
every
a
turn.
really, really good like Scoot Swarm ripoff, and I mean that like ripoff in a positive way.
Yeah, like this actually balances it.
Retrain would probably be the best word for it. Like this is still probably good, but not Scoot Swarm crazy.
Yeah. This is like between Scoot Swarm and Scoot Mob.
Yeah.
Not locked to the single stat block of the Scoot Mob.
Yeah, but not explosively, exponentially growing like this mob, the swarm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Alrighty. And then we got one last one.
Nah. We already did 5. We're only doing 4 per. We're moving on.
Oh, right. Fair enough.
Thank you, Jackal, for your gift to Pixel. Next.
Okay. So next up is me, and by sheer coincidence, Zid and I got Panfex and Newtone respectively. So I got the other of the duo, the dynamic duo. I went hard in on Newtone's set for the designs because Shattering Trinity is rad and needs more cards. So Newtone, you better put these in the set, or I will know where you. I definitely know where you sleep, and I'm definitely not making an empty threat with no actual backing basis. So I generally picked cards and mechanics, especially in the top row off of that. The first 6 are all meant to be off of the set. The one that I think is the coolest is Transcribe the Worlds. It's 3 mana for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you create an archive token, which is a saga where on chapter 1 you gain 2 life, on chapter 2 you scry 1, and on chapter 3 you draw a card. But it also makes each planeswalker you control a saga, where their first loyalty ability is chapter 1, their second loyalty ability is chapter 2, and so on and so forth down the card.
That's so cool.
Yeah, because you can still use their loyalty abilities until you're forced to sack them to the saga.
That is correct.
Yeah, but they wouldn't.
I wasn't sure where to cost this, but it's tough. It seems like pretty damn good. Or wait, no, it transforms them. So it replaces the loyalty ability with the chapter ability.
Oh,
it does say
becomes a. Yeah.
I mean, it lets you. It makes them unattackable and lets you get Planeswalker ults by waiting 3 turns. So that's pretty good.
This might want to go up in mana. I wasn't too sure, but it seems like a really cool concept. I've had this floating around in my head for a while, and I figured that making a card for Newtone was the appropriate place to put it, especially since the white faction in that set cares a bunch about sagas.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. The other card that I really liked from this cycle of 6 was Academy's Adjustment. It's a 5 mana enchantment, and you can pay X rather than pay the generic cost for temporary spells you cast, which are non-permanent spells. And if you do, you change the text of that spell by replacing each number and number word with X. So on some spells, this is just a huge mana cheat, but on other spells, it makes the effect scaling. Like Divination becomes X blue, draw X cards, for example. And that plays well with, I believe the mechanic was called Rewrite in Shattering, where if you spend an amount of mana other than the spell's mana value to cast it, you get a bonus. So this lets you undercast or overcast your spells. And then after I made the first 6, I made 4 more that were just playing around with ideas that I know New Tone would like. New Tone mentioned that they're a big fan of conspiracy, so I decided to make a conspiracy card for them, which was Leovold Eye to All. It's a 3-mana 1/3 legendary elf advisor, and before you shuffle your deck to start the game, you can reveal Leovold from your deck and choose one, and you conjure a card with the chosen name into your command zone. So you can either get Emissary's Ploy, which is a conspiracy that lets you choose a mana value between or from either 1, 2, or 3, and you can cast spells of that mana value using mana as though were mana of any type. Hold the Perimeter, which Hold the Perimeter at the beginning of each player's first upkeep, it gives you a 1/2 with Defender and each opponent a 1/1 with Haste. Or you can get Power Play, and Power Play is a conspiracy that lets you go first. And then it's got Skulk, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, target player becomes the Monarch. So he's like a politics commander with a little bit of classics Leovold bull crappery, because we all know that original Leovold was no less abusable.
Oh yeah,
That guy was totally fair.
that guy was cracked.
I think it's a really cool flavor play into him too, because his whole shtick during Conspiracy Block was like he came in from as like an ambassador from another city and has been trying to like power play his way up the social ladder with ostentatious wealth displays, which is literally shown in Emissary's Ploy. So being able to give any player the monarchy to like try to force them to get attacked is kind of the like area you're going for with that. And then I always like to make character cards for the people that I get for my Secret Santa. So this year, New Tone's character in Strata Commander is called Tone. So this is a follow-up on that card. It's Tone Eternal Conservator. It is a 5-mana legendary artifact construct. It's a 2/5. And if it's your commander, you choose 2 colors before the game begins, and it's those colors, so it's double Prismatic Piper by default. And when it enters the battlefield, you can exile a card of each card type from your graveyard until Tone leaves the battlefield, and if you would draw a card, you can instead get one of the exiled cards into your hand.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
So you have to like pick your colors and stuff carefully. It doesn't inherently give you card advantage. You have to generate that yourself still. So like for example, he would probably naturally be best in like a Delirium strategy, but you can pick and choose. I mean, obviously in Strata, it's in like is the card types in graveyard matters thing.
Yeah, I would definitely build a deck around that commander.
And then yeah, that's the 4. Definitely had some kind of wacky designs in here. I tried to do them in a way that would still be, believable to canon Magic, but like definitely out there. I'm pretty happy with how these turned out.
Yeah, you're really raising the bar here, especially with this transcribe the worlds. That's very cool.
I think it's cool. I would like to see that. The main issue with transcribe, if you're talking from like a Magic designer standpoint, assuming it was costed appropriately, I'm still not sure where the right mana value to put that is that, sets have so few planeswalkers nowadays usually. Like even Shattering only has 4 planeswalkers in it. And, it just doesn't have a lot of synergy. It's just 3 mana make an archive token.
Right. That's fair. More of a standard plant, I suppose.
Alrighty, next up, Tuxel, you're up, man. If you
Right.
want to unmute. Okay, cool.
You guys can all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So, I made an entire commander deck, as I'm sure you guys have heard, plus a couple bonus cards back before I decided to do a commander deck and made some mono green designs. Yeah, those aren't shown here. I started out with just a selection of cards. I mean, last year I did a baker's dozen, 13 non-land cards and a non-basic land. Or sorry, 12 non-basic, non-land cards and a non-basic land as the like bonus one. Anyways, for this one, I started with that outline and was planning for that on the first day of designing, and then the second day I just went all the way and finished a whole commander deck. So I did all of this in 2 days. I don't know how.
It's a really impressive deck, especially putting it together in that little time.
Yeah, there were a few edits I made after the fact where I noticed like grammatical errors, or for example, I noticed Aven's Sun Guard had a mechanic that was kind of off. So I'm curious, sorcerers. I don't know if you put Isira as like the front card on here. Calric was actually intended as the main commander for the deck.
I just stuck the 2 legendaries up front. I didn't notice the rarity difference.
Fair enough. So the kind of theme of this deck is combination of celebration, which we just saw in the. Oh, they're moving. They're doing a little dance.
I still got it wrong. Crap. Hold on.
Mistakes were made.
This is the power I get. I get to see all the cards early, and I get to choose how the slides look.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, so the whole stick. The theme of this deck is a combination of Celebration and Myriad. I've always loved Myriad as a mechanic, and I tried doing some designs with it for actually my first custom card set that I finished in Goblin Plane Sculptors, which was Planar Duplicity. Didn't really work because it was structured like a standard set, and yet it had Myriad, so that was a little confusing. I might revise that set later. But here I played into the fact that, of course, if you have a creature with Myriad, it's going to trigger your celebration things as long as those celebration things, check to see if 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control after the Myriad creatures have made their token copies of themselves. So what I did with Calric was he checks both at the beginning of combat before you make any Myriad tokens, and then again at your end step, so that if you have Myriad creatures, you can automatically get his bonus to pump his power at your end step. But then you can also do you can get bonus counters by playing cards, making tokens. I saw that one of Sorcerer's main things that she liked for card design was stompy tokens. And so I was like, hey, why not just do that through Myriad? So Calric obviously is a legendary creature, 4-drop, a 3/2 with Vigilance and Menace, and Celebration at the beginning of combat on your turn and at your end step. If 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn, put a +1/+1 Calric. And whenever Calric deals combat damage to a player, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with Myriad at the beginning of that player's next upkeep. And that's one of the few tokens in this, actually new kind of tokens in this commander deck. Another design I'm pretty proud of is Tonrai, Tasir's Escort. They are a 4-drop with first strike and haste, 4/3, human knight. Whenever Tonrai deals combat damage to a player, choose target creature to become Tonrai's escort until the next time Tonrai escorts a creature. Creatures Tonrai is escorting must attack each combat if able and can only attack the player Tonrai attacked last. So kind of a kind of adjacent to Goad type effect, but not really. And yeah, I thought I'd add in some like kind of historical characters because I know they like to do those with commander precons that like Wizards does. Kayla obviously is a character from the Brothers War set. Urza's wife, who is Boros color identity. So I'm like, hey, what if I make one of her affiliates or something? And that's who Asira is. And then, of course, Taysir was one of the 9 Titans. And the idea for Tonrai is he was a character actually invented to have been native to the plane Wildfire, but that's shtick. I don't have much lore on any of these characters.
I was really impressed by all the lore digs. Like, you had calls into, like, you know, Old Dominaria, New Capenna, Mirrodin / New Phyrexia, Innistrad. Lots of cool stuff from that.
Yeah. Speaking of Innistrad, Scalding Ransom is actually, I found new art for it. It's not one of the cards I'm going to really feature because I've actually sent it in the Discord before, but it's one of my designs I'm most proud of for some red removal, and I found some new art and flavor that I think works quite well for it here. So my third card I'll talk about on the showcase is Soldered Potential. It's an instant for a red and a white, and it says exile target spell or non-land permanent. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 and 4 life more to cast. And the flavor text reads, for every failure of legend, for every figure of legend who came before, there are failures to learn from alongside triumphs. And that's from Alibu Ancient Witness. So this was designed kind of in the vein, flavorfully, alongside some Boros removal we have from Strixhaven. Alibu is obviously a big statue lady from Strixhaven that was in one of the recons. I've always liked Alibu as a character and what Lorehold does with their, like, you know, historical twists and war and peace aspects of white and red. And then this, of course, is some like efficient removal in the same vein that we might have gotten in Strixhaven, but it's also kind of like a strictly better version of Soul Partition, because it can be used as that or as kind of like a counterspell, but more like a remand than a full counterspell, which is kind of, I don't know, I like doing little soft counterspells for red or white every now and again, and this lets it do both, as well as having the paying life aspect was supposed to emulate the red side of the card, since red will sometimes put like extra damage as the downside or the parameter on things. And then Avon's Sunguard was a little experiment to do some more multiplayer shenanigans and some politics. So Avon's Sunguard is a 5-drop 3/5 creature bird soldier with flying, lifelink, and haste. It says at the beginning of combat on your turn, each opponent who doesn't control a token named Sun's Blessing may create Sun's Blessing, a legendary red and white enchantment token with, whenever you attack, each of your opponents draws a card. For each player who doesn't, go target creature that player controls. So a little complicated in there. Basically, each of your opponents has the decision to make this token that's going to make each of their opponents draw. So that includes you and the 2 other players in a typical commander game. And if they don't, you get to go to one of their things, which can be removal in some cases. It can just be very good. Power level on Avon Sunguard was initially even more out of whack than this, and I think if I were to redesign it, I might nerf it even more or up the rarity, because Uncommon is extremely good for this kind of effect.
Rarity's arbitrary in a commander deck anyways. I think it might be able to be like a 3/4 or 3/3, but I think the idea is really cool. I'd give it Vigilance personally, so if they check the Goat option, they have to worry about blocking into the Avon Sunguard.
That's a good point.
Well, they wouldn't be able to attack.
Oh wait, no, they wouldn't be able to attack you. I'm being stupid.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
I really like escorting. It's on Tonrai, it's a pseudo goad thing, but it's also sort of just a new status that a creature can inflict on another creature, kind of like Soulbond.
Yeah, I was going for that kind of thing. I didn't want to like invent a new keyword or anything, but I wanted to do something new. I was also thinking in the vein of like Boldweir Intimidator with the coward type.
Yeah. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you did invent a new keyword. Escort is a new keyword action, and it works exactly how people think it would.
Yeah. Sorcerers, do you want to give any thoughts on this? I know you really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the deck's sweet. I would love to give this a run. Like, I honestly think that this deck is probably suitable for, like, the Strata Commander format with a few adjustments because there is, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet. I think you put a Shockland in there, stuff like that. But the deck looks rad. Really cool cards.
Thank you. I'm glad I was also able to find new arts for a lot of them. Like they're like I'd say probably half of the reprints have new arts. Um, yeah, I found some new arts for like Anointed Procession, new arts for all the non-basic lands, and for Arcane Signet and Soul Ring. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I noticed that as well.
I had a great time making all this, and I liked doing little bits of flavor here and there. Technically, the only flavor that exists for Kalrak is Kalrik. Sorry, um, Kalrik. Yeah, is that they were like exiled from this one monastery, and it's literally all confined to the flavor text of Sacred Foundry in the deck. But I don't know. I didn't make much lore for these guys. It was just a brief thing.
I think it was really well done, so don't worry about that. But anyways, we should probably move on to the next ones because we're about halfway through stream. We're going to finish in time, though.
All right.
It's me.
Alrighty, Najugo, you made for Tuxel. Give us the 411.
I made some jumpstart commanders because Tuxel said they like jumpstart. So in the theme of like Emil the Blessed, I made a bunch of monocolor creatures who have off-color activated abilities themed around Christmas and also Hanukkah, even though that is a candelabra and not a menorah because there's no good menorah art on the internet at all.
What, you didn't want to take screenshots from 8 Crazy Nights?
I did not.
Oh my goodness. The callback.
So first off, we have Ada as the light bearer. She's a damage prevention commander, 2 and a white for a 1/4 human citizen. And for green-white hybrid and tap, you can prevent the next time target creature would deal damage this turn. And on each end step, if 8 or more damage is prevented, you draw a card and make a treasure token because the Hanukkah story is about a little bit of resources going a long way.
Fog Commander? I'm a big fan of a Fog Commander.
Yeah, that's a really sick interpretation of that sort of effect.
We also have Hope Shadow, which is the complete inverse of Death Shadow. It is a 1/1 for 1 white. As long as your life total is greater than your starting life total, Hope Shadow gets +X, where X is the difference. So the higher you can get your life, the bigger it is.
Big Sarah Avatar, I super dig it.
Our red commander is an equipment commander. He's Jingle Claws the Gift Stealer. He's a 3/2 for 2 and a red Elder Horror. For red-white hybrid, you can attach target equipment to Jingle Claws the Gift Stealer, only as a sorcery. You can steal your opponent's stuff with this, obviously, because he steals gifts. But at the beginning of your end step, you unattach all equipment from Jingle Claws, and then he deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of equipment you stole. So you can suit them up with a bunch of things, swing, and then throw all the stuff at them. And lastly, we have Solipsis the Stocking Stuffer. There's 1 and a green for a 2/2 Elf Scout. And for 2 red and a green, you can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. If you don't control that creature, you draw a card. And whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, you can remove all counters from it. So this is sort of playing on the theme of that one red-green goad deck that Wizards made a while. I think it was for Neo, where the theme is putting stuff like auras and counters on other people's stuff and getting rewarded for it. And also a little shield if anyone does try to use those counters against you, they lose them.
Neat.
Sick concepts, really cool commanders. I would play these. I love the damage prevention one. It's basically just a better version of something I tried to do during one of my set sprints.
Yeah, the fog one's really neat.
Cool. Then my job here is done.
Alrighty, next up we have 2 Najugo from Toaster Bard.
toaster bards here, but got some cool stuff. Got a splitty fish.
Filet mignon.
Alrighty. Who's going? I guess I'll start. We have the filet mignon, which just warms my soul. Because I have spent the past week trying to think of puns of this caliber, only to be outclassed by the fish zombie minion. It is a 6-mana 3/3, and when it dies, you create 2 1/1 black fish minion creature tokens named Filleted Minion. With when Filleted Minion dies, create 2 food tokens. So it's like a reform in reverse.
Yeah. Or that ochre jelly, but they turn into food at the end.
Yeah.
Also have this high-speed courier who's a star 3 for 1 in red. It's got haste. When it enters the battlefield, upload the top card of your library. For those who don't know, upload is exile it face up. As a sorcery for 2 mana, you can put an uploaded card you own from exile into your hand. And its power is equal to the number of uploaded cards you own in exile.
Also, love the artwork on that. Holy moly.
And it's
I think I shared that in the art channel.
I don't remember that one. You might have. I don't pay super close attention to the art channel.
probably themed around the Cyberverse.
It definitely is. Yeah, I vaguely remember seeing that before, or I think I shared it before. Don't worry.
Alrighty. Next up, we've got the Ransom Warrior. It's a 4-mana 3/3 Fractal Rogue with Flash. You may cast face-up cards opponents own in exile by playing 2 in addition to their other costs. Any color of mana can be used to cast spells this way. And it says that twice, which is probably a typo. At the beginning of your upkeep, any opponent may pay 4. If anyone does, you exile Ransom Warrior and create 2 treasure tokens. That's pretty cool.
So sort of steal your opponent's stuff from the upload zone.
Yeah, you're taking your opponent's uploaded cards. But they can pay the ransom to get it off the field.
But they give you enough to download a card. And lastly, we have this Titan Taskbot, who is good old 6/7 for 5. I assume that should be an artifact.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Construct, who he's a little mug flunkies, but he's a 6/7 for 5.
He's just a little guy, and by little I mean big.
He's just a big little guy.
Even has the Matt Dixon art. Nice attention to detail there.
Matt Dixon is the Taskbot guy.
Yes, both Kuldona and Mistveil have a race that is dictated by the art of a single artist.
Very good art.
I like the idea that maybe this robot really thinks that he's very tiny and that everybody else is huge and scary, and so he needs somebody to hold his hand to go into combat.
Yes.
It's a little scaredy Taskbot, even though he's the biggest one.
Well, thank you very much, Toasters. Sick designs. Better puns.
And now we have the cards for Toaster.
And now we have 2 Toaster from New Tone, completing the second loop, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's the third loop. Yeah, I believe so. Cool. Is New Tone in the voice chat? They are not. Okay, cool. So, to start, we have Abu Jafar, Rogue Storyteller. 3 mana for 3 loyalty. +2, put a lore counter on target creature you control and on target creature you don't control. And -6, distribute X lore counters among sagas you control, where X is the number of creatures you control with lore counters on them. Then destroy each creature you don't control with a lore counter on it. So it's like a variation on that one artifact. What's it called? That puts fate counters on things. Oblivion Stone? Yeah.
No way, I can't believe they did an Abu Jafar reference.
Yes, they did.
I learned about that from the Crack-a-Pack of Arabian Nights. Was it Arabian Night?
Was
It wasn't. It could be.
Toaster's Cardsmith name Abu Jafar? Because there was
I
Abu
believe
Jafar
so.
on Cardsmith. I believe so.
I want to say that's them.
So good deep cut there on multiple levels.
And they made also a toaster for Toaster. The High Gear Toaster, which is a 2-mana artifact. 2 and tap to put a toast counter on a food. And when you sack food that has toast counters on it, they shock things.
It's actually really cool.
You can suit up your food.
Let's see here. We've got Economic Boom. It is an X white-black sorcery. Each player creates X artifact creature tokens named Jewel with Haggling 1. They have tap. The next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less to cast, but it can't reduce the cost of the spell below 1.
Dang. Those don't even go away. You just get X.
No, they're
cost
basically
reductions.
they're weird mana rocks, but I mean that in a good way.
Neat.
Interesting mechanic too. I think that's from one of their either sets or like competition designs or something.
I vaguely recall that being part of one of their sets. I could be
vaguely
mistaken
recognize
though.
it.
I haven't seen the set in a long while though, so I could be mistaken.
Haggling is from Toaster's Rabia set. Makes sense.
Right? Yeah. That checks out.
And lastly, we have a classic new tone design over here, the Nox Animator, which is a fortification. It's 2 mana for a legendary fortification. Fortified land is a goblin creature with PT 1/1 in addition to its other types. And whenever the fortified land is put into a graveyard, you attach the animator to another land you control, and it has Fortify for 3.
Interesting.
It lands into goblins.
How good that is. Like, it's technically a 2 mana permanent 1/1, but you have to lose lands for it. Interesting.
Yeah, it definitely seems a little scary to use.
I'd be really interested to see that kind of card in action. Cool design.
Onwards to the final loop.
Yes. So here we have 2 Ether Shade from Woofloof.
I can do one. Picky Mind Robber, 3 mana, or 3 blue black for a 3/3 rat wizard. Whenever you draw your 3rd card each turn, you may discard a card. If you do, each opponent discards a card and loses 3 life. And then you can tap, discard a card to draw a card.
I really like that design.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really,
Really tough but strong goal to strive for.
I think the only thing I'd maybe change about it is to make it draw then discard. Because that's normally, I guess it would.
Black has
work
gotten
better.
ranging in very limited quantities before, and blue can get it anyways.
I guess.
I think I prefer the loot as well because you're paying for a 5 mana 3/3, and I'd like to draw the card first, but I don't think it's too bad.
It probably would.
I would actually prefer the rummage, personally.
Why do you say that?
Because it will, because, well, that's mostly personal preference. I just don't like loot because it makes it so
The
there's
discard
more
isn't a
room.
cost.
Well, it makes it so there's more room for error because you could
Oh.
just say you draw a card and see what you get, and you might not have anything you're willing to discard.
Yeah, that happens. That definitely happens.
So that's why I don't like loot as much as rummage.
I personally prefer looting to rummage, but I definitely get that mentality because it is a feels bad when you draw exactly what you need, but you also need the other cards in your hand.
Yeah.
Fair. I mean,
You want
it
to
can
take the
also-
next one?
it
Yeah.
can also- Go ahead.
Oh.
Ether?
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. So, let's see. Numil, Arcanopsychologist. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, or second card in a turn, create a clue token. And then, what's that color combination called?
Esper.
Okay, Esper and tap to players reveal their hands. You may choose any number of players to discard their hand and draw cards equal to the
Oh,
number of cards
brutal.
they discard.
That's brutal. My word.
I
Wow.
look at your hand. I decide whether or not I want you to throw it away.
That's really good.
Pretty
Whoa. I mean, it's on a 5-drop that you can't use right away. This feels like a commander card that you answer immediately. Definitely would get a good salt rating, though. I like it. Brutal card.
You do also have to show your hand and choose whether or not to pitch it, but
True.
that's kind of neat.
But that's not
Disgusting. 10 out
that.
of
That's
10.
not that bad compared to what it does to your opponents.
Yeah,
Yes.
you someone shows you their hand and you're like, nah, keep it.
It's like Jace, but even worse. Granted that Jace is a 4-drop that gets to do it for free.
Then we have the Curse of Aging. For 2, a white and a blue, it is an enchantment curse. It goes on your opponents. Whenever enchanted opponent draws a card, you can draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So there's your looting. You get to loot every time the person you cursed draws.
That's interesting because if you're playing a card draw deck, that can make it work when you draw a card.
Well, it can't go on you.
It has to go on an opponent the way this is worded, which I think is fine.
I mean, we do.
Oh,
have
it says
a card-
enchantment opponent. Sorry, I missed that.
We do have
'cause
a
I was-
card in Mistveil that makes you count as an opponent.
Oh, you could worst enemy.
Yeah, you worst enemy yourself and then put the Curse of Aging on you.
I think it is missing aura on that. But-
It should be
Yeah,
an
it does
aura
need to be
curse.
Aura Curse.
Otherwise, that's a cool card.
Alrighty, and we got one more. Which one do we want to read out?
I'd say probably Rights of the Chosen. I can't see it from
Let's see here. As Rights of the Chosen enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control the chosen type enter the battlefield an additional +1/+1 counter on them. Whenever a creature you control the chosen type dies, you may remove 3 +1/+1 counters from creatures you control. If you do, return it to the battlefield under your control. Woo. Looks good. I mean, it's 5 mana, so you're working your way up there, but strong effect.
It's a little bit like a version of Debtor's Pulpit, but it empowers your creatures when they come in, but when you lose them, you can take some of that power and bring them back. Neat.
You mean
Or-
Debtor's
or you
Knell? It's the overcosted aura that lets you tap things down.
Maybe. Some
Debtor's Knell
Debtor's
was also
things
the card that
is-
came to mind for me as well.
Or you just run it alongside any of the white auras or effects. It's like when a creature enters, put a +1 counter on all your stuff.
Yeah. This with Cathar's
I
Crusade
think
goes
there's only
And
Cathar's
then
Crusade, but yeah,
if
it
you
does
have
go
a
in.
if you have a sack outlet, it goes infinite. If you have enough things on board, which that's fine. That's still multiple cards worth of combo, I think.
Even
3
without a sack
card combo.
outlet, it just like makes all your creatures immortal. Unless it's a full board wipe.
Provided you have the Cathar's Crusade.
Yeah, really
The
cool
one-
designs there.
Yeah, thanks to Woofloof for those cards. I like a lot of them. A lot.
Alrighty, and let's move forward to the next one. We have 2 Woof from Mech Moose. I know Mech Moose was in chat with us.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, cool. You're still here. Cool.
Show us your secrets.
Yeah. Well, they said they liked a particular creature type. If you can't tell,
I've worked with Wolf for a while. They're gonna love your entry.
yeah. Well, they also said to try and point out the crafty side. So the first one's Stoke. It's a legendary creature, Kobold Artificer, 2/3 for 2 red. But it enters the battlefield alongside a legendary artifact dragon. It then has like the cards before, it has a hybrid cost ability to pump a creature minorly. But if it's a dragon or an artifact, it gains indestructible. So you can kind of pick your focus, how you want to go, and be able to
This
get
also gives off that like jumpstart legendary vibe, and in like a really cool good way.
Yeah.
It can also
Yeah.
regenerate itself, which is cool. Wait, no, it can't. It's not a dragon.
No, it is not.
It's a
dragon.
kobold, right?
Yeah, that was intentional. Move a couple across. Crafty Trapmaker, I think, is really fun. So it's 1 blue black for a 1/2 flash.
Sick.
So it is a black -1 counter removal spell that is also turns your -1 counters into stun counters. So flash, when it enters, you distribute 2 -1/-1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures, and then if a permanent with a -1 counter on it would become untapped, remove a -1 counter from it instead.
Turn them into stuns.
Just for clarity, for the most part, I just pasted these cards in here without reading them so I could have some raw reactions to them. The only one I looked at with any real depth with Tuxels because it was for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, Wolf mentioned that they wanted to try and get the more crafty side, because kobolds are
Yeah.
really only seen as not
Dragon worshipping mindless drones.
Yeah, the minion. So I tried to add effects that were a bit varied rather than all the same. Green one down the bottom, I think is fun. It is really basic, but you know, Molten Muncher.
Basic is not a bad thing.
No, 1 and a green for a Kobold Citizen. It's a 0/1 for 2. Enters the battlefield, it makes a treasure token, but then he can eat any artifact like it's a food. So 2 tap, sacrifice an artifact, gain 3 life.
It's got that crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Treasure is tasty.
Delish.
I love it. That's such a cool design.
Yummy.
Then I guess. I mean,
You gotta show off one of the Dread Maws.
I was going to, but they're all really exactly what you expect. There's 2 Dreadmaws. They're both 6/6s for 6. They both have trample. The blue one animates an artifact into a 3/3 snowman. And the green one explores and creates a present. Which is pretty self-explanatory. I literally just was scrolling through the internet, found the art, and went, well, I have to now. You don't get a choice, do you?
The
Find
Dreadmore Rainbow.
You
comes
find
for you.
Dreadmore art, you make Dreadmore.
Indeed.
Draconic Ingenuity is also really cool.
It is, yeah. I wasn't exactly sure how to balance it though.
I think you've got it in the right spot. The front mode of just hardcasting it might be a little good. Like, I feel like this probably has a home in Vintage or Legacy that none of us can comprehend because we don't play those formats.
I mean, it finds Grim Monolith, so
it's mana positive with Black Lotus.
Yeah, that's never a bad thing.
I mean, sure, but I think Grim Monolith's a little more key there.
Yeah. I think it would be good. I don't think it would be a problem like standard or anything, though. Probably not, at least.
I mean, it is still just a 2-mana shooter to the battlefield.
That is true. I'd be interested to see this in action. Like, I would not change this card before playtesting it.
If make one change to the card, and it would be to make it a non-creature artifact.
That would probably help.
That makes sense. I didn't really even think of that at the time, obviously.
Still good.
Well, these are sweet, so
And now, to close
next
the
up we
final
have
set,
2 Mech Moose from Ethershade. Give us a tour of your cards.
Ether.
So I kind of went heavy on the flag bearer theme for the most part. So I didn't think to do a whole commander deck, but I kind of put cards that would go in a commander deck together. So yeah, like, let me open the thing again because I was just looking at the stream. So yeah, one sec. Where is it? Okay, here it is. So Sphinxity's Elusive General is designed around using other flag bearer stuff to redirect spells. I don't know.
Oh, cool idea for an effect. I like that a lot.
And then Sphinxity's command is just like a little extra to make your opponents do what you want, including triggering Sphinxities a lot. And then both of the flag bearers just makes your weakest creature a flag bearer, basically, or have a flag bearer effect.
Spell what about it? Well, it target this creature but doesn't. That opponent changes one of its targets to that creature. Cool.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah. I like the command a lot as well. Really interesting way to do that sort of effect.
Yeah, it's definitely not where I would have gone with a commander for that type of effect, but it makes
Now I'm
a
talking
lot
about
of
Sphinxity's command, the enchantment.
Oh, the enchantment. I was reading the commander. It's like not where I would have gone, but when you read the effect, you go, that makes perfect sense.
I agree. Really interesting way to make the flag bearers relevant. I would love to see like a full fleshed out deck for this. Not that I'm saying you have to, but I mean, like, I think the idea is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of free time, so I could probably make it.
If you want to, I think we'd all be glad to see it, especially Nicholas.
Yeah, and then just so we're clear, making like a full commander deck is like above and beyond. It's almost a meme of the Secret Santa because it happened last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the minimum was 4 cards. Like, that's all you
Yes.
got to do.
Almost everybody went above the minimum. The people who didn't had really high quality cards to compensate, so...
Minimum 4, maximum 150.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
kind of went a
God.
little too hard this year. I'm sorry.
I think 10 is kind of the solid like high number to what's it called to strive for a lot of people. Commander decks are like crazy. And there's not enough room on these slides to show more than like 12.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I think these are.
I guess
I
the
went
slides
pretty
were
heavy on a theme.
13 with the token.
I think the theme's really cool, really interesting, like creative application of that theme.
Alrighty then. So we do have one more slide.
Yes, we do indeed have one more slide.
Aw, you guys.
It's for you. We shipped in to make you cards, Andrew.
Oh, is that what you
Whether
meant
you
by
want them or
spoilers?
not.
Because I did not notice this the first time I
It's
was
a
looking through.
secret present for Andrew.
And we're gonna
Aw.
hold you hostage here and go over all of them because most of us are here right now.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Alright,
All
I
right.
guess
Who wants to start?
Let's just
Mine-
go in order.
mine is first. So, Colossal Ally, 5 mana for a 3/3 Troll Druid ally with Rally whenever a Colossal Ally or another ally enters the battlefield under your control. Target creature has base power and toughness 6/6 and gains trample until end of turn. We had to have a Dreadmaw reference in here, and I pitched in and decided to make an ally that turns your creatures into Dreadmaws for the turn. Yeah.
That's actually incredible. First of all, thank you for remembering how much I love allies. Second, this actually works very well with the original allies because a lot of them just get +1/+1 counters anytime an ally enters. So if its base power and toughness becomes 6/6, then on top of its 3 or 4 +1/+1 counters, it's going to be a massive trampling threat.
Yeah.
It's a trampling book.
Thank
If
you
I'm
for-
not mistaken, we pulled from your 2022 form to get the ideas
Yeah.
for these cards.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I noticed. I saw allies and I was like, I think I have an idea.
That's a
Honestly,
really good
it's a
idea.
sweet card. Honestly, I wonder if it could be 4 mana, like 3 and a green.
I mean, maybe? I'm not sure.
It'd be
Mostly
very
speculatively, not as like a critique, but like you're not making like a full-on Dreadmaw, nor should you, to be clear.
Yeah.
4 would still be very, very good.
Yeah. This is the green-loving Stompy in me who wanted to push for a Carnage Tyrant card amongst these.
Yeah. I could have made it more Carnage Tyrant-like, but I felt like Dreadmaw was more reasonable.
I agree. I also think that the Dreadmaw is funnier because Dreadmaw is a magic meme, whereas Carnage Tyrant is a me meme.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Holda, Former Champion, which was my card. It is 2, a blue, and a red for a 3/4 Legendary Human Chef. You can tap it to add white, blue, black, red, green, but the mana can't be spent to pay generic costs or cast permanent spells. And you can pay 3 and discard an instant or sorcery card to tutor for an instant sorcery card, but only as a sorcery. This is a theoretical recipe commander. And the idea is that this is somebody who won the competition in the past, which is why that they have the codex ability, just slightly more narrow. The idea is I didn't want you to be able to pitch lands for this in Commander, so you just can trade your wrong chapter numbers for chapter numbers you actually need, and you can spend in on the recipe's colored costs with his effect.
Yeah, it's very cool. A good way to make sure you're not like ramping too much mana.
Yeah.
Just because you can't use it for the generic costs. That's very cool. I love how it ties into the lore of Coldona.
I think I sent it through in the chat, but it's like the one thing I wish it said is I wish it said order cast non-food permanent spells because it bothers me so much that the chef can't cast food.
I had this specifically for recipes. There is a 5-color food commander in the Coldona file already.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the problems that we have with Coldona is just we couldn't really find a way to combine the food tokens with the recipe mechanic in any meaningful way.
I will say,
Yeah.
based on the Coldona that I gave you, I don't think it needs to happen. I think the set looks sweet at this point. Like, it really feels good to draft.
We'll be finding that out next week.
I mean, if you guys want, we can do a draft after stream.
I'd love
Yeah.
to do that.
I'd be down.
I
Maybe.
probably won't have time.
Let's
after
do it.
this is all done.
I'll open up a lobby, and if we can get, enough people, we'll do a draft, because I know a lot of people have been waiting to see the cards.
All right. Panfex, Newtone, and Smelly are in the VC, so I'll do theirs.
Handfex
is-
does have a explanation in the chat, by the way.
So does Smelly.
Cool, then we will go over them when we get there.
I'll read out the cards. Ranis Unwanted Help is blue, black, red for a Planeswalker Ranis. It's 3 loyalty Planeswalker. You can pay 2 life and activate the loyalties ability of Ranis twice in a turn. And to +2, the next time target loyalty ability is activated this turn, set the number of loyalty counters on that permanent to the number of counters that were put on or removed to pay its cost. Ranis deals that much damage to any target. So, allows you to turn your loyalty abilities into setting loyalty abilities, which is pretty neat. And then +1, draw a card and discard a card. I think that's meant to work cool with Spark and stuff.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so Panfex has a bit of an explanation in the chat on stream here, which is Ranis is a character that I made for my Great Designer Search 3 submissions, who had a very weird ability to set his loyalty equal to 4, I think. And then he had abilities that, depending on how much loyalty he gained or lost, you could either get him down to 1 and then set it to 4 and it would be +3. I think you draw that many cards. Or you get him higher and then you bring it down to 4. So that's sort of what this is inspired by. So thank you, Panfex. That is awesome. I am glad to know that you enjoyed that design, because that was one of the ones that I felt like maybe didn't hit as strong, but I'm glad that you at least liked it.
Newtone's card, Unavailing Approach, is 1 green and a blue for an instant. Prevent all combat damage to be dealt this turn. Until end of turn, whenever damage is prevented, each player mills that many cards. And I know that this one is tied into your love of playing Turbo Fog.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I love Fog and I love Mill. And so Newtone's just combining them together into one. So now I have
This
to...
is also just...
Hmm?
I was just going to say, this is also 3 mana Blasphemous Act ends the game.
It does do that. Everyone loses
your turn. If you do it on your turn, you lose last, which means you win.
Well, this only prevents combat damage.
Oh, boo! Balance card, boo!
Still, if somebody's swinging in at you for 20 damage, each player mills 20. I mean, you got to be able to find a way to use that. It's a lot of mill.
Sweet. High rarity fogs have the potential to be really interesting if they're not just trying to be the 1 to 2 mana prevent all combat damage, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you, Newtone. I love all sorts of interesting fogs, so I'm going to...
Andrew, you'll be happy to know I kept your common fog in Coldona.
Yes! Look, we need a common fog in every set so that we have enough to do a turbo fog deck in our standard. That's my goal.
From Smelly, we have the Stormlighter. 1 blue for a 3/2 human radiant. It's got high storm, so it's infused as long as you've cast an instant or sorcery. It has flying, and as long as it's infused, Harsh, Radiance, and Heralds you control have Saboteur, draw a card. And Smelly explained in the chat why.
You're the only guy in the server I knew that knew what Stormlight is, so I decided to design something that involves our mutual interests, and Kaladin vaguely looks like you. Sans forehead tattoo.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is my favorite book series. Got my copy right here. And yeah, this is a set that Smelly was working on back when they first joined the server. So the high storm ability is from that set, and being infused is a big thing in the book series.
Was your Stormlight set ever fully put together?
Yes, we did draft it once. I think on my birthday this year, maybe.
We got to draft that again sometime. I don't remember a ton about it.
Yeah, so I designed that using very old standards. So a lot of the commons are vanillas and or very weak. So I do...
Hey, you want me to go over it? No, I'm joking.
I mean, you could definitely offer me suggestions. I'll get you the file.
I'd have to look at it again, but that's for another day.
Yeah, we could punch it up a bit. But I
Yeah,
also
it's a standard.
I also have not included anything from the fourth book that came out a couple years ago, so I need to do that. And then the fifth book is coming out next year. So, but yes, I would love to draft it more with you guys. Get some more feedback on it.
Yeah, I feel like we draft each other's stuff a lot, but then we never draft your stuff, Andrew.
To be fair, I really don't have many sets that I have finished. It's really just that one, and that's finished in the sense that it's draftable, but it still needs like revisions. Okay,
Next up is
Mirrodin asks if I want to get a forehead tattoo. The answer to that is no, because it's not a tattoo for him. It's actually is it a tattoo? I was thinking it was burn marks, like a brand in his face. It might be a tattoo, but it means that he's a slave, and a dangerous one at that. So it's not a good thing. It basically tells everyone that he meets that he's kind of a crappy guy.
Why Harry Potter's is cooler.
Which is not true. He's not a crappy guy, but everyone thinks that. Anyhow, no, I don't want that. Sorry.
All right, Nijugo, your card's next.
yeah. I decided to design a card around the Garthlands and just Fibblethip's journey across the multiverse. Unfathomably lost. It's 2 and a blue for a sorcery. You conjure Fibblethip the Lost, Totally Lost, and Super Duper Lost into your hand, and just get incredibly lost.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, Super Duper Lost was one of the Mystery Booster playtest cards, or no, sorry, that was one of the Infinity cards. What was the one from the playtest that I'm forgetting about?
Let me check.
I think it was called like World Tour. It had Fibblethip in the art.
Yeah.
Super Duper Lost is the one from Infinity that tucks a creature as the Grand Tour. That one is not in here. Super Duper Lost is a 5-mana tuck spell that tucks a creature equal to the number of doors you can see from your seat.
Yeah.
I love the Fibblethip memes. I'm a big fan. Humongulous is one of my favorite card names ever.
It's real good.
It was also pretty good in its limited format, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean,
Or by pretty good, I mean like, it was a solid like 20th to 23rd.
it's a big butt you can't target, so
Yeah.
if you could just use it as a pretty safe blocker.
I think I had at least a copy of that in my undefeated high alert deck.
Oh yeah, High Alert's good.
My
Grand
face when
Tour.
Muragonda reference.
The Grand Tour is a 1 and a blue for an instant that has target creature change zones a bunch of times and then come back to the battlefield. So if you
Yeah, it basically hits every zone that it can before returning to the battlefield.
it goes to exile, your hand, then to your graveyard, then on top of your library, then to the battlefield. So if you're things that trigger on zone changes, it triggers them, but it doesn't actually do anything.
It gives the creature summoning sickness.
It does do that.
It blinks it. That's the important thing. Like, they costed it such that it's a blink spell. It's 2 mana for an instant to flicker a creature.
Yeah.
That's super cute. Oh my god.
All right, my Christmas
I
gift to
also
all of
love-
you is the band hammer.
I also am in love with the art you've managed to find for Unfathomably Lost.
I was really surprised. I found the art for Nijugo because Nijugo was not on their computer at this time. I was surprised because for a long time, Fibblethip fan art was really hard to come by despite the popularity of the character. So having this art was really exciting.
Very good Fibblethip art. Next up is Ivy's card, Smelty the Familiar Gaze. It's a 1 black and a green for a 2/3 frog cat legend. Got Death Touch. You can spend colored mana as though it were mana of any other color. And you can cast non-land cards from any player's graveyard as though they had flash. As an additional cost to cast a spell this way, sack a non-land permanent. If you are casting a permanent spell this way, the sacrifice permanent must share a card type with the spell.
Interesting.
One thing I'm curious about is how that would interact with somebody trying to cast something with like flashback on their turn.
Well, if it's a cast thing like flashback, you won't be able to interact with it because it's already on the stack. If you're trying to use an ability that comes back from your graveyard, that's a different story. You'd be able to snipe it out from under them.
Yeah. No, the thing I'm talking about is like, so the opponent who gets the intent to cast the card with flashback first, Melty's controller or the opponent who owns the card?
Whoever has priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, active.
Interesting. Okay.
Whoever has priority puts the card onto the stack, and at that point, it's no longer in the graveyard, and Smelty doesn't see it.
Although Smelty lets you cast everything from their graveyard with flash. So, like, if you can respond to something.
Yeah, if it's an ability being activated from your graveyard to put it, like, unearth, you can snipe their unearth activations.
Yep.
But even to be able to cast a spell with flash, you'd need priority. So,
Yes. I just mean that your priority can overtake theirs when, like, they maybe have priority, but something else is on the stack, so they can't cast sorceries.
Yeah, makes sense.
But you could cast their permanents at instant speed.
You could snipe it if they try and sneak out a small spell first.
Alrighty, next up we've got Zed.
So, as we all know, Chair is the best streamer on this platform. So I decided that I was going to give Chair their own commander card because everyone on the channel gets a commander in our format, but Chair can't design one for themselves. So I did it for them. So we have an entirely normal Chair. It is a legendary artifact with no casting cost, and non-existent mana cost cannot be paid. Whenever another commander you own is put into the command zone, and fun fact, that does happen at the start of the game as part of the start of game procedure. Okay. So technically this can trigger before players draw their opening hands. You can put entirely normal Chair onto the battlefield from the command zone. And then if you tap and sacrifice it, the next commander spell you cast this turn does not have to pay commander tax, and it's hexproof and indestructible.
Wow.
Old Chair.
Is that...
That's because Chair is the most powerful person in the world.
Yep, and it is a throne. You can have this as an additional commander, in addition to any other additional commanders you might get from other card effects.
I'm sorry, is that an image of my actual chair?
Yes, that is an actual image of your chair I got from a bot on YouTube.
That is, in fact, your chair.
That is the chair.
Yes, the chair has a card now, as it should.
Chair.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
This is incredibly strong. Like an auto include in every commander deck, but it's like
that's because the chair is an auto include in every stream.
Exactly, Chair is the best streamer. It should have the best card.
Wow, thank you. But I guess I'm the only one who gets to use it, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't fit a line of text of this ability triggers only if your name is Andrew.
Wow.
It's probably got Heroes of the Realm rules, so only Andrew can use it.
Yes.
No. Only Chair gets to use it.
Only Chair gets to use it, that's right.
Well, that is incredible. Thank you, Zid. Now if you guys try to kill my commander, it doesn't matter.
Got a Chair.
Excuse me. Alright, next up we got Tuxel's card, who... Okay, Tuxel is in voice chat right now. Cool.
Yeah. So we got Gez Alda, Mechanicaller. It's a 3/3 for 3 legendary creature avatar wizard. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, untap up to one target creature or artifact you control. Vehicles you control have trample, and its last ability is whenever a creature you control with power 1 or greater crews a vehicle, you may put a stun counter on that creature. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on the vehicle it's crewing. So this one wasn't informed a ton by Andrew's previous design answers. I guess I just associate Andrew with blue-red because that was the color of your jump strap pack.
And signature commander.
Oh yeah, that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, for this, I just was experimenting around with vehicles. I like blue-red as a color combo for vehicles because it actually has the most vehicles currently printed in the game. And I also quite enjoy the concept of putting stun counters on creatures as like an extra cost. It's like exerting them as they crew things.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of putting plus one counters on vehicles as well because they don't die very easily. So, um, if you
Yeah,
get board wiped or whatever, you still have the vehicle and it's still big. So the next creature you play gets to do even more work.
yeah. This was initially intended as it initially had the ability whenever a creature you control damages an opponent, that creature gets a +1/+1 counter. And then when you crew vehicles, you could move 1/1 counters onto the vehicles from the creatures that were crewing them by giving them stun counters. But then I just made this like a smaller version of that for sake of power level. But I still do love that concept of accruing a lot of counters on vehicles.
I'd love to see like a Gruul version with that sort of text, and then Gruul vehicles, but it's super unconventional in a really cool way.
Yeah, that one's really cool. Blue red is, at least when I started playing the game, blue red was my favorite color combination. When I first started playing standard, I tried to use blight agent, something like that. An infect creature with unblockable in blue, and I would use a bunch of like red pump spells to try and one shot the opponent. Um, like Titan Strength and Double Strike. That deck didn't work very well, but then soon after, I was able to build a Nivik Cyclops deck that did pretty well at one shotting the opponent. So yeah,
So you probably really enjoy Coldona's Spellslinger archetype then.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big fan of just kind of spells in general. So thank you, Tesla.
So we all associate Andrew with Blue Red Mech Moose. You want to explain why you made him Esper? With some casual bullying from me?
No.
Do it anyway.
All jokes aside, Mech Moose, cover your card because it's sweet.
Well, I was literally the very last one to add a card, and no one had made an Andrew card, so I kind of just decided that works. Front side's a 5 mana 3/5 legendary creature. Would you be surprised to hear it's a human?
I don't know.
I thought he was an avatar.
Some people don't believe it.
Wait. Given his current state, shouldn't he be a germ?
Hold on. I am a human with some germs attached to me somehow.
So you're a living weapon.
Living weapon.
Hey, you know what? That actually sounds pretty good.
I went full Gandalf for the effect of the front side. You get to tap and choose an effect that hasn't been chosen, so you can slowly go through your list or go straight for the best effect if you just want to go straight into it. So you can make a treasure, make a food, make a clue, just get your general value. The fourth one's conjure a format legal card at random into exile. You may cast it this turn. I went for the wording on format legal card because that basically means it's going to be a strata card without referencing a strata format.
You know, SDH, Strata Dragon Hearthstone.
Yeah, so if you're playing it in our formats, you're going to conjure one of our cards. And then you can exile and then return back as a Planeswalker, which is Focus World Order. Which is very simple, but I feel like it's something that you'd enjoy, which is you can activate the loyalty abilities twice as long as you're on Coldona, Mistveil, or Nieldevar. And then you can +2 to Planeswalk, 0 to Chaos Ensue on your plane, or then -7 to conjure 3 cards at random, and then cast them all straight away for free.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
That's really sweet, honestly.
Yeah, Penvex also points out.
Jason here.
We do. Maybe that should be a project for this year.
So the next Jumpstart is Plane Chase Jumpstart.
Well, I've already got like 75% of a Plane Chase thing set up.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You do.
Oh, I also made one plane for each of Coldona, Mistveil, and Neldavar for this Secret Santa. So we have a jump start on that as well.
Yeah, because
So
I think I've got
There's
I went
two
to
Yeah.
of each in Mechmoose's Jumpstart thing.
Yeah. You may
I also
want
wanna say
to
while we're-
alter that ultimate ability though to say play those cards in case you conjure a land
Oh.
because lands are format legal.
So what you do is you conjure the Garf cards and then get the Garfs, and you Garfed 4 times.
You could Garth up to 6 times if you get 3 Garth lands.
Yeah, no, the only reason it didn't say play, or like originally it also said until end of turn instead of straight away, but it was ending up at like 5 lines of text, so I kind of just squeezed it.
Also, while we're all in voice chat and kind of talking about upcoming projects, an idea that I wanted to run by y'all / Andrew is the idea of doing like a Boo Cube, which stands for Build Our Own. And basically, we'd get everybody to sign up and then evenly split the number of cards in a cube amongst the people that we've got. And everyone goes out like in a week or two, designs the cards, and brings them back. We bring those together into a cube and draft that.
Ooh.
And the cube would have like a structure to it. So you tell them, okay, we need you to make a black removal spell, a red burn spell, a white 3-drop creature, yada, yada, yada.
I feel like it'd be something you can get done pretty quick.
Yeah, which is why I think it would be cool. I think it's something that we could potentially like kick off like the new year with. Not like today, literally, but
Skeletons in my cube.
skeletons in my cube. But that way we can all kind of like make something together that's like not directly tied to the strata format that involves all of our designs and would be together.
Skeletons in my cube. It's the 3rd iteration. That's perfect.
It can be fun.
Shouldn't it be the 4th one? Cube?
No, we have only
Oh,
done
no,
two.
wait, Cube is 3. Never mind.
Yeah. We've only done
Math.
2. If we
Math
do
is
another
fun.
one, it would have to be.
Skeletons in my closet squared, or 2 squared. There's a
Yeah, I think I agree with Panfex in the chat saying that next week we set aside the stream to just plan the year. Well, I think we look at Coldona a little bit for the people who haven't seen it yet, and then instead of drafting, take the rest of the time to kind of get like a roadmap for the next year like we did last year, because that worked decently well. Because
Yeah, it
we
was
did
pretty good.
accomplish 2 big projects. We got Coldona underway, and we got Jumpstrat set up. And then we got to do a ton of custom play and stuff. So I think last year was pretty successful, relatively.
Yeah, I kind of got slammed by a bunch of unexpected shenanigans at the last third of the year, but I will be getting the template for the remaining assignments for Skeletons 2 out soon, so that at least you have it, so that you can finish it if you want to on your own time, whatever.
Skeletons
I
4,
kinda
Skeletons
got
by
killed.
Tesseract.
Yeah, Skeletons in my Tesseract.
So yeah, if you guys want to get together the Boo draft, I can have like the sign up and stuff ready for next week, because I've got a cube skeleton floating around in my files.
Nice. I also have a couple of set the arts if you want to try those.
Ooh, I forgot about that. We should also
set
figure
the
it out
art
for
is
next
a
stream.
really cool. It's so where Skeletons is, you have a set file which is a skeleton, and you fill it in. A set the art is, I give you a set file, and every card has an art in it, and that's all you get. Make a set.
Does it have like card rolls in it at all?
No, it has
Interesting.
it has some
Cards.
suggested colors, and a couple of them, we have multiple pictures of a character, so that you can kind of fit some lore in. But other than that, it's just, here's the art. Good luck.
Did you make them?
No. I have 2 that I've pulled from the MSC boards, and I'm working on a 3rd one.
Cool.
Instead of take this set and make cards and art it, take this art and set it.
Yes,
That
it's
could
set
be a
the
really
art.
cool concept for a set sprint for me.
Yeah. So
because-
the first one has 165 cards in it. So like they're a lot smaller. Like it really is like a sprint. And the second one is a very different art style, and that one has 209.
Okay, so they're about a half to 2/3 of the size of a traditional set. So you'd be working with like Cold Snap levels, and as we all know, Cold Snap is one of the best draft environments of all time.
It really isn't.
Which is a shame, because from the design standpoint, I think Cold Snap is cool as heck. Like, of
Cold
course, you
Snap
want
was
to make cards
really
that care about
cool.
having multiples in a format where you're going to see each card more.
Yeah, that was a
Ripple is
really
a
cool
cool
idea. It
idea,
just was not executed well.
Ripple was probably the bigger mistake of the 2 Pokemon cycles.
Oh, absolutely.
And now we've got it in Strata Commander.
Well, you have a
They did
fixed
keep it
version.
on stock.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, I am definitely down to do that Boo Cube. That sounds very interesting. So yeah, if you want to have that ready to go for next week, for assignments at least. And-
I think if that being said, does anybody else have any closing notes? Because that is the end of the slideshow. Thank you to everybody who contributed. This was a very successful year with a lot of really, really cool designs. And thanks to everyone who pitched in for Andrew's surprise gift that I came up with at like 6 p.m. last night.
Oh wow! Well, thank you
Yep.
so much. I was
It was 6 p.m. Saturday night.
Fair enough. You had
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
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 I think my highlight of the Secret Santa was we sent out the prompts to everybody, and 24 hours later, I get a message from Tuxel saying, "So I have 28 cards, so I'm just gonna do a full Commander precon."
Puzzles
and,
rocked.
and then
I was very impressed by that.
24 hours after that, I send back a Tuxel, "Hey, you want to hear a funny joke? I'm doing a Commander precon also."
I did
We're just
consider a
giggling.
Commander Precon for New Tone to kind of continue the joke from last year, but I was also working on Coldona at that point, and I didn't want to overload myself more so than I already had.
Yeah, that's fair.
So speaking of Coldona, do we want to start a draft?
I'm down.
Or
I
those who
haven't
want to
played
participate?
too much Coldona, so I'd really like to get into that.
This is
because
Coldona
the,
like you've never seen.
This is Coldona like you've never seen it before. We've
oh,
got
good, because
full
I
art,
haven't
full
seen a whole
flavor.
bunch of it anyway, so this will be good.
Full art, full flavor, new bonus sheet. This is
Full
an
art.
exciting.
Oh, all right.
This is
Nice.
this set looks visually fantastic.
I'm very excited.
Here, let me get
Someone
a
cue the
draft going. I have
Ratatouille
kept
music.
this set privated to not spoil it for people. Let me get the draft link. I'll put it both in voice chat and in the stream chat for those of you who want to participate. Boop. Boop. Andrew, are you going to stick around and watch and or draft, or are you going to head out for the night?
I will draft with you.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah, if we end up playing
Yeah.
games, I may not be able to talk much through them. But
I think for now we just draft, and if people want to play games afterwards, we do have cockatrice files, but I'm kind of just vibing with drafting.
Yeah, it's
Let me,
late for most people, I
see
think.
if I can-
Yeah, it's like
There we go.
10:41 for me, so by the time we finish this, it'll probably be around midnight.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm very excited for y'all to see the set. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 2 more seats for people who want them. I'm also very excited because this means that Coldona is ready for standard testing, and I think Coldona is going, because it literally doubles the number of finished sets we have in this format, it's going to do so much for this format. Yeah, I will make the set public after drafting Panfex. But I wanted to build up some amount of hype for people. Alrighty, we got Ethershade, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Does anybody want to be our 8th?
I'm gonna quickly grab a snack before I get super duper hungry from.
Oh, that's a good
Looking at
point.
this-
Yeah,
I
haven't
should
people
get some,
literally been getting
food.
hungry off of the Coldona stuff I've been posting?
I
Probably.
know that Mars said that like several times that they shouldn't go on the channel before eating.
Yeah.
I've
This
been.
is my again reminder that if you want someone to cook food and take a picture of it, I can do that. So,
I mean, if you want to make the wheel of cheddar, go on ahead.
oh, you know what? I might actually do that. Don't at me.
Weird,
The
absolutely.
biggest regret that I have with this set, with the file that I've got, is that about a quarter or like a third of the bonus sheet is AI art because the art is all highly specific. And I don't mind using AI art for this, but it just looks like worse and faker than actual art. So I'd love to be able to get around to actually replacing those, but I also didn't want to spend the time, money, or effort to go get custom art made.
Yeah, I can probably actually rig up a picture of a mozzarella mezzaluna.
That got replaced. That got changed. There's a lot of like name and flavor changes. That being said, we
Yeah.
do have a full pod, so I'm gonna set it
Ooh.
up. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5,
It's
6,
like
7, 8.
any of the weird funny things I can probably do.
Ooh,
I
I got a
have
chef. Do I just take the
Lots of
chef?
cheese and some wood in my basement.
I got a double
dear.
bonus sheet.
You got a what?
I got double bonus sheet.
You got double bonus sheet?
Ooh.
Yeah, I have color pie and the 2-for-1 special.
That should not happen. So I will see what that. It won't matter for this draft, but I will look into how that happened.
With that, I am going to turn off the stream. So thank you, everybody who contributed to the Secret Santa, all 16 of you. And thank you especially to those of you who made me some cards, because I was starting to regret my decision to sit out this one. And these are some awesome designs.
You're welcome, Andrew.
Did everybody else only see one bonus sheet card in their pack?
I'm not seeing any.
Let me make sure. Hold on. Let me check to make sure I rigged this up properly. I think I might know what's wrong, but I need to double check. Own sets. Adjusted cooldown. Version history.
Anyways, I'm taking this absolutely.
Started with oh, I know what's wrong with it. Okay. We might have to restart the draft then.
Aww.
Are people okay with that?
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
fine.
I'm fine.
I'm
I
sorry
have
about
not even
that.
looked through all my cards yet.
This
just-
pack wasn't